What's unfolding in the Arab world today is the mother of all wake-up calls, says Tom Friedman in the New York Times. Over the past half-century, our deal as Americans with Arab nations in the Middle East, the big gas stations, Friedman calls them, has been this: keep the pumps open, the oil prices low, don't bother the Israelis too much, and you can do whatever else you want. You can keep your politics oppressive, your women illiterate, your religion fundamentalist, and your economy corrupt. Just keep the pumps open, the oil prices low, and don't bother the Israelis. The result, described by the UN report on Arab human development, is that the Arab world suffers from three huge deficits: a deficit of education, a deficit of freedom, and a deficit of women's empowerment. The repressive stability provided over the years by Arab dictators, Friedman says, has been the stability of societies frozen in time. We should welcome their return to history, he warns, but without any illusions that it will be swift or easy. Here in America, we also know something about the repressive stability of societies frozen in time. Religious fundamentalists have conspired with Roman Catholic and Mormon leaders to turn back the clock, especially when it comes to how much control women have over their bodies and, therefore, their lives. The House of Representatives has voted to cut all funding for Planned Parenthood. The South Dakota legislature has tabled a bill that would make murdering a doctor who performed an abortion a justifiable homicide. Representative Joe Pitts of Pennsylvania has introduced a House bill that would allow hospitals to turn away women who need to terminate a pregnancy to save their own lives. The Georgia legislature has proposed changing the legal term for victims of rape, stalking, and domestic violence from victim to accuser. These developments aren't the isolated actions of wild-eyed crazies. They're the product of a well-organized and well-funded strategic plan to relegate women in this country to third world status. The defunding of Planned Parenthood, for example, has the thumbprints of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops all over it. Here's a question. In what % of counties in the U.S. can a woman who needs an abortion get one? The answer is 13%. Why bother making abortion illegal if you can make it impossible, especially for poor women? Make no mistake, access to abortion is not the main goal of women's empowerment. If all young women were as well informed about their bodies and their relationships and their power to make choices as the young women in our religious education program here at All Souls, the number of abortions in our nation would drop significantly, and that would be a good thing. But access to abortion is the canary in the coal mine, a leading indicator of how much control women have over their bodies and their lives. Other indicators tell the same retrograde story. Front Page magazine recently published 4 photographs of graduating classes at the University of Cairo over a 45-year period, 1959, 1978, 1995, and 2004. If you rendered the 4 photographs in black and white and asked someone to put them in chronological order, the chances are they would get the chronology exactly backwards. As the years progress, the women become fewer in number, their demeanor more sober, their dress more traditional. If you are paying attention to the plight of women in our nation and our world, you've gotten the mother of all wake-up calls. If you're paying attention to the future of environmental justice in our nation and our world, you've gotten the mother of all wake-up calls. And if you're paying attention to the fate of economic freedom in our nation and in our world, you've also gotten the mother of all wake-up calls. When confronted by distressing news, whether from Pierre or Sana'a, the capitals of South Dakota and Yemen, respectively, it's tempting to think of ourselves as living in a different world. Nestled here on what my wife Holly likes to call an exotic little island off the coast of North America, we greet with startled dismay the news of patriarchy's latest crackdown or tyranny's latest onslaught. We may fire off a letter or a contribution, as well we should. But my guess is these developments seldom have a real impact on us, on the kind of people we think we are, and the kind of lives we hope to lead, and the kind of world we intend to inhabit. After all, we're children of the Enlightenment. And then Lara Logan fell victim. Yes, victim's the word. To a brutal and sustained sexual attack and beating by a mob of men in Tahrir Square in Cairo. Perhaps instigated because she's a journalist, a Western journalist. The chief foreign correspondent for CBS News, Logan has covered some of the most dangerous stories in the world. Why did such an attractive woman put herself at such risk? Gail Lemon of the Council on Foreign Relations puts it best. Because it is her job, because she is good at it, and because it is what she does. With disgusting predictability, however, some American commentators luridly cited the fact that Logan is blonde and attractive, and said she had it coming. Even some of the good guys got it wrong. Nir Rosen has spent most of the past 8 years living in Iraq, reporting for major U.S. newspapers and magazines. His focus has been on the local impact of wars and hostilities in the Middle East and beyond, especially upon women and marginalized populations. Overall, he's been one of the good guys, often bucking the mainstream narrative about the causes and consequences of those conflicts. When the Logan story broke, however, Rosen unleashed an appalling and obnoxious series of tweets. He joked about the assault and lampooned Logan's presence in Tahrir and her work as a journalist.